Well, good morning. 555 is still overcoming 666. We're moving into the life force energy, taking control of it, and understanding that we're not slaves, and that 666 doesn't have to be the beast, it can be the avatar. It's up to us. The decision is ours when we take responsibility for what's happening in the world and focus on what's really going on behind the scenes. Today's title is Fulford Confirms What Ambassador Has Been Telling Me. Every Monday, Benjamin Fulford gives his weekly report about what he has been told is going on behind the scenes. As with all information being revealed, some of it comes from less than honorable sources. It's true with all of us. That's the world we live in at this time. Truth is always mixed with untruths. It's up to us to discern as best we can. Here's what I posted in Facebook yesterday regarding this week's report. Quote, Benjamin Fulford is confirming what the ambassador has been telling me for several weeks now. The Dragon family is waging war on financial tyranny and human ignorance involving the players at all levels of the matrix control grid. They are not making idle promises, but are working to isolate and shut down the criminal enterprises run by the Federal Reserve. And I provide the link to Benjamin's report. Yes, there is always disinformation mixed in with information. And it's not always the fault of the person who is the spokesman or the reporter. All we can do, all I can do, is report on what I've been told. I do my best to internally verify the sources, not always through a lot of great research, because I don't have the time to do that, but I do read things that other people say. And some people don't do any research. They go with gut feelings, and the gut feelings fall out on either side depending on what your vested interest is. My vested interest is on helping humanity. And so I will tend to go along with things that promote what I'm interested in. If you're interested in promoting the system and maintaining the status quo, your gut is going to tell you something completely different because you're probably out of integrity anyway, because anybody that supports the status quo has to not understand what the status quo is. The status quo is a system of lies, a system of half-truths, a system of half-baked plans to rule the world and dominate the world and control all the world's resources. Now, Rockefellers have done that a great deal, and the Rockefellers and that clan, Greenspan and others, are in charge of the Federal Reserve and the IRS. These are criminal operations. They've been operating, the Federal Reserve and IRS both have been operating since 1913. They were supposed to operate for 100 years. Well, that ended last year, but they're still operating. And there's been a war run by the Dragon family against the Federal Reserve and against the Western cabal centered in North America and Europe to curtail and ultimately to shut down the Fed and shut down the criminal operation. Now, one of the things in Benjamin's report is from Wikipedia, and he talks about the things that the Rockefellers are involved in. The Council on Foreign Relations, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Asia Society, the Population Council, the Council of the Americas, the Group of 30, the World Economic Forum, the Brookings Institution, the Peterson Institute, formerly known as the Institute of International Economics, International Executive Services Corps, the Institute for Pacific Relations, the League of Nations, the United Nations Association. Now, those are things that were either funded by or headed by the Rockefellers. Now, of course, the Rothschilds have also been involved, but he doesn't get into that much here. The Federal Reserve has been the one that has been financing the wars in the 20th century. From World War I onward, all the wars were financed by this group of men, these capitalists that wanted to rule the world and wanted to create monopolies that worked for them. In other words, cooperation between the parties, the multinational corporations that had a goal in mind of dominating the entire planet. Well, thank God, and we can thank God, that the Red Dragon family and other families in Asia especially are starting to really stand up to these people. Russia, when Russia broke away and the Soviet Union dissolved, Russia became a stalwart activist, kicking out the cabal and all of the Zionists that were in Russia. And that's been ongoing, and it's been happening in China, I'm told. It's been happening all over the world as people are standing up to this Zionist brainwashing cabal that wants to create mayhem on Earth so that we would call out for them to provide the solution they want, which is tighter controls. Well, we don't want tighter controls. The Dragon family wants freedom for humanity. And the Dragon family has been sending envoys to Queen Elizabeth and to other Western oligarchs, if you will, Western bloodlines, and saying, you've got to get on board with this. Now, there's been all sorts of reports floating around. One of the things that I've learned from the ambassador is they don't take any report seriously because of the duplicity of some of the sources. Some of the sources work for both sides. And it's hard sometimes to discern, well, which side are they coming from now? Which of the things that they are telling us is actually true? It's a challenge, folks. For anybody that gets information, it's a challenge. Now, I know when I was with Rusa, Tim Turner was being told that Dragon family was working with him and giving all sorts of information from CIA insiders, from MI5 or MI6 insiders that Benjamin gets his reports from. These are insiders that often, as I said, play both sides against the middle. And it's hard to tell when they're telling the truth. And many people are led down the primrose path, believing what they are told is true, and then they're left hung out to dry, as Tim Turner was, and he's still in federal prison as far as I know, for believing what he was told, and they entrapped him. That's what the cabal does. It's entrapment, it's extortion, it's manipulation, it's blackmail. They use all the dirty tricks in the book to get people to succumb to their plan. They stop all of the good plans in one way or another. Some people suggest that Mr. Sugi, Mr. Sino, was also taken in by people that were misleading him, that he may have had perfectly good intentions and perfectly honorable intentions, and I believe he did and still does, but he was obviously, when he announced that he was giving vouchers in the multi-trillions of dollars to the IRS, whoa, wait a minute, that's the exact opposite of what needs to be done. You don't give the criminals any more funds to work with. And that's what basically Benjamin was confirming, that there's been this Dragon family war against the cabal, against the Federal Reserve, against the criminal operations, so that humanity can be blessed. Now, you can believe whatever you want to believe. And some people are going to say, well, the dragons have to be evil because they're dragons. Well, that's BS. That's, you know, we need to redefine a whole lot of things because we've been sold a line of goods that just simply isn't going to hold up. Starting with, well, not even starting with, but 9/11, of course, was the big one. That was a bill of goods that most of the people in the world that have done any research at all realize that 9/11, the official story, was a bold-faced lie. Everything that the governments and the mainstream media from the West have been telling us is pretty much a bold-faced lie. It's not true. It's propaganda. Now, the Federal Reserve doesn't have any lawful authority whatsoever. They got into power through fraud and manipulation of the system by buying Aldrich and others that introduced this and pushed it through on Christmas Eve when most of the Congress was not even present. They pushed the Federal Reserve through in December 1913, 100 years ago. They pushed this through using fraud and corruption, and they've been using the fraud and corruption ever since in all of those organizations that I named. Yes, even the United Nations. Now, I'm a United Nations delegate. There are people in the United Nations that are decent people, that really want to do the right thing. And the Charter for the the United Nations, or the what's it called? The Declaration of Human Rights. That is a basically very good document. It's about honoring the rights of human beings. Us, we the people. And yet, the United Nations has not abided by that at all because it's been operated mostly by the criminals. That can be turned around. The United Nations can be a very good organization with proper leadership and with transparency. And we desperately need to start focusing on the world without the control of the cabal. We need to focus our energy there. We need to lend the support to those that are talking about this and recognizing that these are the people that are the problem in the world. These are the people that keep humanity from waking up. These are the people that continue all the brainwashing techniques and all of the strategies to dumb down the population through a crazy educational system, through a multimedia that, a mainstream media that is totally controlled and provides mostly disinformation and focuses on the things that are the smoke screens to keep us from focusing on what's really going on behind the scenes. We need to pay attention to people like Benjamin Fulford and other investigative reporters who at least are attempting to tell the truth. Are they 100% accurate? Absolutely not. Am I 100% accurate? Absolutely not. I am sure there have been many times that I've shared something that I believed was true, that I wanted to be true, and yet it was not true. And I've been gullible. And my gullibility and my sincerity, I look at as strengths. I mean, I'm doing the best that I can. And that's all any of us are able to do, is the best we can. But if you look at the thing, all of these hot spots in the world, whether it's Lithuania, whether it's what's going on in ISIS in northern Iraq and Turkey and that region of the world, wherever these issues are coming up, the truth is not being told in the mainstream media. You're going to have to go on to the alternative media till the mainstream media starts telling the truth. Now, it was interesting. I was sent yesterday a video of Glenn Beck apologizing that the liberals were right. Now, here's an arch-conservative newscaster who made a public declaration that he was wrong, and the liberals that said that we shouldn't have gone into Iraq and in the early stages of the Bush administration, and actually the Bush administration before that one, we shouldn't have gone into Iraq. That this was a false operation. This was not something we should have done. That it would only create a quagmire and we'd get involved. That's what the liberals were saying. Don't get involved in Iraq. But people didn't listen. The conservatives got their way because that's what Fox and all the mainstream news media pretty much were saying. Well, they were all on board with the neocons. This stuff has to be brought to the public, and we need to get our minds around it, and more importantly, we need to open our hearts to be able to look at things with a compassionate heart and a compassionate mind, realizing that if there's going to be justice, it can only really be justice if there is mercy with it. In the Kabbalah, the two wings on that fan blade are justice on one side and mercy on the other side, and they have to balance each other. They have to work together, not just one or the other. Blind justice can be just as hurtful and criminal and damaging as blind mercy. You have to work them both together. And this is the thing that we have to understand in our world. Balance is the key. I'm a Libra, remember? Balance is the key. I need to learn balance. We all need to learn balance. We all need to learn both sides of the opposite so that we can get out of the duel and start to dance. As long as we're focusing only on one or the other, we're going to continue to produce things that are going to be against our own highest interest. And our highest interest is to learn who we are, to remember that we are all children of God, to remember that we each came in here as human beings with a mission to accomplish. And that mission is to become the best human that we could be. and to apply ourselves to remembering who we are and to learning about the world we live in so that we could make a positive impact and not a negative impact on what's going on. This is what's happening with the Dragon family. And as I said, the ambassador's been giving the information, and now we're seeing in reports like Fulford's report from yesterday, we're seeing confirmation of what they've been saying. And again, Fulford, I believe, gets a lot of his information from the White Dragon Society in Japan and also from the MI5, MI6 British intelligence. He's probably connected somewhat with other sources of information. A lot of that information is true. Some of it may not be 100% accurate. You're going to need to discern. But one thing is true. The cabal is coming down. The cabal is being attacked from every angle all over the planet. People are waking up and saying, we don't want this control grid anymore. We don't want this kind of a matrix. We want to create a matrix that is serving humanity in a better way. And there's all sorts of things going on that do not meet the eye. All sorts of things going on that are happening behind the scenes, and we can't say, well, this is what's happening, because so much of what we're told, they say one thing and do another, and do another. Who's responsible in the United States for the monetary system? By law, it's the Department of the Treasury. Only the Treasury Department, not the Federal Reserve. But the Federal Reserve took over the role of the Treasury and tried to merge with it. But truthfully, the Treasury Department is the one that has the ability to lawfully produce the money that's needed by the American culture, American society. And that's true really throughout the world, that the resources belong to the people, and the job of government is not to control the people through laws and fines and taxes and all sorts of other things, but the role of the government is to help society thrive. And so we need to capture the meaning of what governance is supposed to be all about. It's about leadership, and it's about helping people achieve their greatness, helping people reach their potential, helping people get the education that they need so that we can understand the world that we live in, and more importantly, even to understand who we are, that we are not limited. And those that are selling limitation, those that are selling separation, and trying to pit one group against another, these do not have humanity's best interests at heart. All of them are wrong when that's the focus. And it's the fundamentalists in religions that are in bed with the mark of the beast. They are in bed with the beast. They are in bed with the Antichrist. They are in bed with all of the dark forces, even though they claim to be Christians or Muslims or Jews or Hindus or Buddhists. If they are pitting one group against another, they are operating on the dark agenda, because that is the dark agenda. The light agenda, the truth agenda, is to get us to cooperate with each other, to recognize the divinity in one another, to recognize the gifts that we each have and that we each bring to the table, and to learn how to work together in harmony, because that's the only way we're going to achieve peace. Thank you, Benjamin, for your report. Thank you for continuing to faithfully issue your report week after week and bring us what information you are given to the best of your ability. And thank each of you that are doing your part and playing your job in helping awaken humanity so that we can create together the world that works for everyone, instead of just a world that is controlled by a few people who want to dominate and control everybody else and all the resources. Thank you for listening, and you have a wonderful day, and namaste.